organize our government. I am State Senator Jim Roby, and to my right is...
I'm Megan McGuigan of the Howard County Library Savage Branch.
My name is Tim Eggborn. I'm an engineer from Northrop Grumman.
And before we ask you to introduce yourselves, I have two questions for you. Number one, how do I get my picture on Time Magazine? You all look so wonderful. And number two, you remember what the old man said this morning about speaking loudly so he can hear? Can you do that for us? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kelly Sullivan. When I grow up, I want to be a clothing designer. My favorite historical person is Martin Luther King Jr. because he told African Americans they don't have to live poorly and miserably their whole lives.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Ditch. I like to play video games in my spare time. My favorite historical moment was the Revolutionary War because it was a war of independence and we won.
Hi, my name is Aaron Dobbins. I like to count my friends. When I grow up, I want to be a police officer. My favorite historical moment is the Revolutionary War because that's when we won our freedoms.
Hi, my name is Maddie Petruski. Something about me is I like playing outside and writing stories. My favorite historical moment is the Revolutionary War because that was when we gained our freedom.
Hi, my name is Tyler Bolt. I like to play hockey. My favorite historical moment was when the United States hockey team won second place in Vancouver and won the silver medal.
Give examples of checks and balances at work today. Give examples of the use of federalism to limit power. Do you think the Congress should have the power to pass a bill over the President's veto? Why or why not? And the last question, do you think the Supreme Court should have the power to declare a law passed by Congress unconstitutional? Why or why not? Do you understand the questions? If our timer's ready, you may begin.
The framers wanted to limit the powers of our national government. They wanted to be sure that no one group of people in the government would have too much power. If they have too much power, they might become our master instead of our servant.
The government held all the power, but they wanted to create a stronger national government. They worried that our government would become master.
When the framers organized a national government, they knew they needed to limit its power. The framers did this by dividing the government into three branches.
They called these parts the three branches of government. They gave certain powers to each branch. The three branches are the legislative branch, the executive branch, and judicial branch.
Checking powers means that each branch can stop the other branches from taking certain actions. Citizens of the United States are allowed to carry guns. People have the right to privacy.
Their names and addresses should not be public. Private information should not be shared. The Supreme Court has ruled on privacy rights of citizens with guns. In this case, each branch of government is checking the other's power.
One example of checks and balances is the power to impeach. Impeaching involves removing a person head of the president from their position in government. In the 1970s, President Richard N. Nixon could have been impeached by Congress and removed from office. The Congress found that he had abused his power as president. Gerald Ford replaced him as president.
Examples of federalism to limit power are that the states can tax the people to support public schools and create Examples of federalism to limit power are that the states can tax the people to support the state government and create public schools.
The state can also control trade within the state. The states often made motor, vehicle, and traffic laws.
In addition, the states can make laws regulating marriage and divorce.
The federal government can tax the people to support the national government. Other powers include declaring and conducting war. They also can create post offices and make money. The national and state government share some powers. Examples are providing for the health and welfare of the people. Creating a court system is something the national and state government share.
Federal laws limit the power of the states. During the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s, African Americans were arrested for demonstrating peacefully at places like restaurants. They were boycotting and protesting unfair treatment of African Americans, but the First Amendment allowed the demonstrators a right to free speech. States needed to obey the Constitution. Therefore, the protesters could not be arrested for speaking up about deserving the same rights as whites.
If Congress has enough votes to pass a bill into law, they should do it. A supermajority in the Senate and House of Representatives should override a veto by the President.
A law might be constitutional. If the citizens want the law and the president doesn't want it, then this is a time when the Congress can listen to the will of the people.
There have been many times when the Supreme Court has ruled that a law passed by Congress is unconstitutional. In April of 2010, the Supreme Court said that a lower federal court was wrong to order the removal of the loan on federal government funds.
Justice Anthony M. Kennedy wrote that Congress had probably corrected any problem with the clause being on public land.
A federal court said that the land swap idea that Congress had agreed upon was not a good way to get around the ruling of the court system.
Abuses power, he can be impeached from the judicial branch and legislature.
What is judicial review? Is the power of judicial review given to the Supreme Court in the Constitution?
Judicial review is when the Supreme Court reviews a case that is brought to them.
How does a case get to the Supreme Court?
The case can get to the Supreme Court when somebody thinks that a law is unconstitutional, or there's a case that went through all the other courts in lower level.
Should the Supreme Court be allowed to refuse to review a case?
Yes, because some of the Supreme Court could say it's unfair, or that
I respectfully agree with my colleague. It should be allowed, but it could also not be allowed. Depends on what they think about the case.
I think that one reason that the Supreme Court should be allowed to refuse if a case is that if it's like been reviewed a ton of times.
I respectfully agree with my colleague Jonathan, because the Supreme Court has a lot of other cases on their hands, so they shouldn't deal with the time and stress.
Should Supreme Court justices be elected instead of appointed? Why or why not?
They should be elected because it's not fair just to be picked, because it's not fair because all the other senators and representatives and the president have to go through the election, and the judges should also do that.
I respectfully disagree with my colleague Tyler, because if they're like elected, then a lot of people don't really know who to vote for, but if they're appointed, the president should know who's good to appoint.
I think it should be both, because they both have different reasons to be elected.
I respectfully disagree with my colleague Jonathan and agree with my colleague Tyler, because you should be elected because, as he said, the presidents got elected and they went through that, and they should just pick
Time has ended.